2, 1. Well, welcome back to segment 3 of Relentless Talk Radio. This is episode 54, and I'm here with Jordon Adler. I'm super excited. Jordon and I have been trying to do this for about a year.
We have.
Yeah, we have, and so yay! Luke too. Luke comes on once in a while, but we've been trying to get him on for a while too. So, thanks for taking time out. You're a super duper busy dude, so thank you. Can you tell me about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. My name's Jordon Adler, and I split my time between a couple different cities, the Las Vegas Strip, and I've got a couple of mountain homes, and my business is the business of appreciation. People crave appreciation and recognition. I crave it. You crave it. It feels good, and that's what I do for a living. I want you to think about a time when you accomplished something, maybe something that you were really proud of, and how it felt to be recognized. Well, we have a system, a technology that allows you to touch people in a positive way, lift them up, make them feel great. And it's an online app called Send Out Cards. That's my main business. I live my dreams. I inspire and teach others to live their dreams. I'm a dream broker, and I help people create we have an opportunity associated with that. So we talk about that as well.
So I've been a Send Out Card user since 2011, or 12, somewhere in there. Every party I've had in the length of the time that I've had Send Out Cards, I've done my invitation and my thank you cards for.
Yeah, one of the most underutilized opportunities that business people have is just a simple thank you note. And with the internet and all the online stuff that we do today, people forgot how powerful it is. And
super no-brainer.
Yeah, it hasn't changed. It's still just as powerful as it was back before we had that technology. In fact, it's even more powerful because so few people do it.
Well, I'll tell you, I was resistant at first because I've always been a card sender, but I've always been a handwritten card sender.
Right.
And so I was resistant because it was technology. But number one, you can actually have a recording made of your own handwriting, which is awesome. But, it just started to make more sense for me to use Send Out Cards. So I'm a big fan. I'm a zealot. I'm also a distributor. So I love Send Out Cards, and I love that we're here to talk about not only Send Out Cards, but the idea of appreciation is like, that's really what it's all about. It's about appreciating people.
Absolutely. I started reading books when I was in my 20s by successful business entrepreneurs, and all of them talked about the power, not all of them, but most of them talked about the power of a handwritten note. And when you merge today's technology where you can, hold a smartphone in your hand and be able to get a personal written message with photos in the mail, not an e-card or anything like that, but something actually in the mail from the app on your phone, to be able to do that throughout the day, to be able to acknowledge people and lift others up in kindness with a card or with a card and a gift, it's extremely powerful. And we have hundreds and hundreds of stories of people that have built very successful businesses using Send Out Cards as a tool to make sure that their clients know how much they're appreciated.
100%. In fact, I sent you a card yesterday.
Awesome.
Right after our conversation ended, I picked up my phone, I went, and I sent it out in less than 2 seconds. I didn't have to drive to the store. I didn't have to open my bank account. I didn't have to give anybody my credit card. It just, poof, I was done.
Very cool. Yeah.
Very cool. So why do you do what you do?
Well, when I talk about the opportunity, the business that I'm involved in is really the business of opportunity. So I help people see the power of beach money. Beach money is getting a residual check. And I wrote a book called Beach Money, and I have a feeling that Michelle might be grabbing that book.
Yeah, it's funny. On my ride to Vermont, I did a couple things.
Yeah, so I asked Michelle this question yesterday. How many people actually have beach money? There it is. That's my second book, Better Than Beach Money.
Yeah, so I bought this one on my airplane, and I also bought this one, which was a gift.
The founder of our company wrote that book, The Power of Human Connection, and it's a 270-page book that you can get on Amazon, and it's packed with success stories of how people build stronger relationships and what that does to a business over time. So thanks for that. Thanks for that PR.
I'm not sure the entire airplane, right?
Yeah, nice.
So continue on. You're telling us why you do it.
Okay, so I was talking to Michelle yesterday about this. How many people actually have beach money? Well, what is beach money? Beach money is a check that comes into your bank account every single month or every single week, whether you go to work or not, a residual check. And the reason most people don't have a residual check is because they don't believe it's possible. But the truth is there's a percentage of the population, it's a small percentage, but there's a percentage of the population that has rentals, like real estate rentals, or they have vending machines, or they have a successful network marketing business. So they get a check every month, whether they go to work or not. And over time, they can accumulate a substantial check that ultimately will pay for their bills or their expenses every single month and some, which gives them the freedom to live life on their terms. So what I do is I help people see the power of beach money, and it's great. People love it. And the exciting thing is that if you were to ask anybody, any adult, if they were honest, it's very rare that somebody said they wouldn't want beach money. But that opportunity exists, and what I like to do is help people see that it's possible. I've met so many people that were resistant to the idea, and then they read my book and got excited about it, and they have significant residuals today. I have lots of people like that. And so the reason I do the business is because I love helping people. I love to live my dreams, and I like to inspire and teach other people to live theirs.
And so, you're talking specifically about send out cards, but network marketing.
Well, I'm talking about anything that throws off residual income, whether it be accumulating, one rental a quarter for 3 years, so that you have a cash flow that comes in without, that money comes in without having to go into savings. Most people don't have a savings. And if they do have a savings, it's pretty inconsequential, or they have to wait till they're in their 60s or 70s to get it.
Absolutely.
And so what I'm talking about is not having to wait till you're 65, something that you can compress some time frames with leverage, and plugging yourself into a business model, whether it be our business model or another company business model, or an opportunity like vending machines or anything that creates a passive income, selling things online. There's all kinds of different ways that you can create beach money, but the idea is to build a business that at some point doesn't involve you, where you don't have to have your hands in it all the time.
Well, Relentless Talk Radio is beach money.
Absolutely.
Because I've created I've done 54 episodes. I've interviewed 167 people this year. It's all on YouTube. I'm building traffic all the time. And this year it's going to podcasts. So I'll get advertising money from YouTube once my subscriptions get up there.
Exactly.
And I'll get, sponsor money from my podcast. And this year I'll also be selling sponsorships on Relentless Talk Radio.
Why are so many companies going to the subscription model? The reason is because it creates an ongoing monthly revenue stream for them. And
100%.
there are people within those companies that receive checks every single month. And if they decide they want to take 6 months off, some of them can do that and still receive income.
I think people think that it's only for the rich people.
Well, everybody starts somewhere, right?
That lifestyle is only for people who were born into money with a silver spoon in their mouth and can have like a great portfolio, that it's not for like the normal people.
It wasn't my life. That wasn't my life.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. I wanted to talk to you about your, there's two things I wanted to talk about, but it's a natural segue. The topic today is about coming back, that this is my comeback year. So the topic is, my question for you is, when did you have a setback that you came back from strong?
Well, a number of years ago, I decided that I wanted to get my helicopter pilot's license, and just for fun, not for work. I have a condo on the Vegas Strip, and I'd see the tour helicopters, and I thought it would be really fun to, when my friends came to town, to be able to take them up in the helicopter. And so I started going, I scheduled it, and I went in and I bought a bunch of lessons, and I started going in and studying for the tests. And it took me 2 years, but I got my helicopter license, and I've probably taken over 100 people up in the helicopters since I got my license a few years ago. About 4.5 years ago, I got my license. And so I had a setback. I actually bought a helicopter a little over a year ago, and had to put an interior in it and some radios, and I soloed in it about 5 months ago. And then I was dealing with a couple of issues, and I'd met a guy that I'd known for 6 months, and he told me he was a licensed commercial pilot, that he'd been flying for 20 years, that he had many hours, 3,000 hours, that he owned helicopters. Well, to make a long story short, we went on August 27th, we went up in the helicopter we hovered it, and it's got dual controls, and I turned the controls over to him, and 4 seconds later we crashed, and both of us should have been killed. The only thing that didn't get crushed was myself and him. The wreckage was just a heap of broken glass and metal, crushed metal, and fuel pouring everywhere. They pulled us out of the wreckage. There were news choppers overhead. The paramedics were there. The FAA was there. The NTSB. It was a major scene, and he disappeared. And
Do
you know the story, Michelle?
No, I haven't heard the story yet. Like you said something on a live once, and I tried to go back and find it.
So he disappeared, and the FAA they were pressuring me because I was with him, and they were trying to interview him and get his pilot certificate and his medical certificate and his logbooks, but he kept on avoiding the FAA for a number of days and then eventually weeks. And they contacted me and told me that they have no record of him, the FAA computer systems anywhere in the United States. He's never owned a helicopter. He's never flown a helicopter. He was a complete fraud. And he crashed my helicopter, totaled it, and they opened up a criminal investigation. So long story short, they haven't arrested him yet. They keep on telling me they're going to. It's been about 4 months, but I had a lot of anxiety around getting back up into the helicopter after the crash. Most people do after any type of a wreck, regardless of how it happened. And about 2 weeks ago, I got back in the helicopter, and my philosophy has always been that you never let crisis turn into ruin. And that was a crisis.
Right.
And you're going to have, in business, you're going to have major setbacks. Sometimes you're going to have major setbacks, but it doesn't have to be the end. If things go south, that's just an opportunity to learn, and it's an opportunity to rebuild. And you can come back stronger. So I'm excited about flying again. I had a lot of anxiety, not so much from the crash. So it was from I hadn't flown in 3 months.
Right.
And so I went up with an instructor. He didn't do anything. I did everything. I helped, I flew the helicopter for an hour, and now I feel great. I'm glad that I did it. But don't let crisis turn into ruin. The steps for learning to fly, whether it be in a helicopter, an airplane, or flying in your business, are the same. And in every business, you're going to have setbacks, and most big success stories in business are riddled with lots of major setbacks. And it's your ability to work through those setbacks and come out on the other side stronger that will ultimately determine whether you actually meet your dreams. Most people quit. That's what they do. That's why most people.
Yeah, 100%.
That's why most people continue to struggle financially most of their lives.
You and I both have strong relationships with our parents and our aunts and uncles, and my dad. Every time I'd have a setback, or my heart would get broken, especially if I had a setback and my heart getting broken simultaneously, which has also happened.
Yeah.
He would just get right back up, girl, and don't give up.
Yeah. And it's not, when you're in the midst of it, it's not easy.
Yeah. It's not over till I win is my motto.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So one of the things I was thinking as you were, there would have been two things for this with me. One would have been, obviously you're in a helicopter, and it was beautiful. I got an opportunity to see it, and I have ridden with you in a different helicopter. My heart broke because you renovated it. It was something that a dream, you poured your heart and soul. It wasn't an easy fix. It wasn't easy remedy. It took a while. It was money and time and energy. And there's the losing of the thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're human. You're gonna think, oh crap, it's this wonderful thing that I just bought. But then the fear of falling out of the sky must have been just colossal.
Well, we were 4 feet off the ground. We were hovering.
Okay, good.
When I gave him the controls, the tail of the helicopter flipped around and hit a fuel storage tank. And then the main rotor hit a fuel cart, and the helicopter just exploded into a million bits. I thought for sure that in the moment that the helicopter tipped back, I was 100% sure that I was done. That was it. Because people don't survive helicopter crashes like that.
And that's going to change you. And I think that anybody that's come back from a thing like that, you come back better because you shouldn't be here, right?
Well, I've noticed that I appreciate every little thing more than I did before. And I appreciated every little thing before, but everything from, we have a limited number of heartbeats in our life.
That's it.
And every heartbeat I appreciate. We have a limited number of steps in our lives.
zero tolerance for bullshit at this stage in my life.
Right.
That awareness, like, I just yesterday volunteered to do something and had that moment where I went, oh no, it's going to be a nightmare. And I went, oh no, it's going to be a nightmare. I'm out. Like literally it took me like an hour to make that decision. Where when I was younger, and even last year, it would take me months or years or a long time to extract myself from a situation that was taxing. So the other thing though, there's a third thing that would have really bothered me about this. And that would have been the betrayal from the guy that you knew from 6 months. This is somebody you hung out with, who you believed was this rock star. You literally gave him the controls, which is your life, most importantly, and your baby. Mm-hmm. So the fact that he lied to you, I mean, that's the thing that would have been almost harder for me to get over than the loss of the thing or the fear, because when you go through the fear and you live through it, you're like, okay, I'm here.
Yeah.
But the residual effects of betrayal and lying and someone literally dropping the ball, in their case, dropping you on your head is
me. The guy that introduced me to him, he had been telling this guy had been telling my friend who I've known for 15 years that he'd been telling him he was a pilot for years. The FAA interviewed the guy's mother and his girlfriend, and both of them believed that the guy had been a pilot for many years. So he created this image in his whole life, everybody he was connected with, that he was a licensed pilot. But you know what? There are bad people out there. There are people out there that have problems. This guy had a problem. Not everybody's that way. And
I want to hear you say that, because the first thing I said to you, I don't know if you remember or not, because you got the zillion posts. The first thing I said was, don't give up on people.
Right.
Because your whole business is based upon appreciating people. Yeah. I mean, there's the irony of it. I mean, your whole business, your whole life, everything you stand for is about lifting people up and appreciating them.
Yeah.
And then someone come into your life and treat you like that.
Yeah.
And the second thing I said to you was to get back in the helicopter as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Because as a motorcycle person, I've had a couple close calls, and I've dropped my bike a couple times. I've been lucky. Both times have been slow, so I've been lucky. But still, you never forget what it feels like to fall down and go boom.
Yeah,
it just leaves a mark, right?
Yeah.
So, what would you say your biggest lesson is that you've learned about being in business?
Well, I made I went through about a 17-year time, actually less than that, about 11 years where I was dabbling in different businesses and never made a penny. I lost money in everything, and I was like $36,000 in debt on 22 credit cards. And then I started making money, and in my last network marketing company, I made $8 million. And I built my lifestyle on that income. I paid my taxes, and then I had about 4 million over a period of 15 years left over. And when you start making money, everybody has an idea, everybody has a business they want to start. And over the course of 15 years, I invested in about 40 different businesses, anywhere from $20,000 to $150,000. Because you start thinking you're smart when you start making money, and making money has nothing to do with being smart. And so I think I'm smart, and I'm investing in all these businesses. This is why all the professional athletes lose all their money. And what ended up happening is after 15 years, I basically had nothing to show for it. Every business went out of business because startups go out of business. Most of them do. Right. So I went through $4 million, and I remember reading a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. And they talk about, in that book, it talks about paying yourself first. If I had just done one simple thing, and that's put 10% of my income away, whether I got a check for $100, $1,000, $10,000, or $100,000. If I put 10% of my income away for that 15 years, I would have an additional $20 million. But instead what I did is I took the money that I was made, my profit, and I invested it in businesses thinking that I was going to, hit the mother load.
Right.
Some people do, but most people don't.
Right.
That's why most football players and basketball players that have been playing for 5 to 10 years, their careers are over and they've got nothing. They file bankruptcy because people come to you with opportunities, business ideas, and they're your friends and they're your family members and they're people that have been referred to you, and everybody has their hand in your pocket once you start making money, and they want some of it to help fund their dream.
Right.
But the truth is, not 99% of all startup businesses fail.
Yeah.
So the likelihood that any of that money is going to turn into anything significant is pretty slim. And I learned that the hard way. So now for the past 15 years, in my current business, I take 10% of my income, I put it away. Actually, I put more than 10% away, 20%, and I don't look at it. I don't touch it. It's in a fairly conservative investment fund, and it grows.
Awesome.
So that's,
you know, I was a financial advisor at Edward Jones.
huh?
I was a financial advisor with Edward several years.
Nice.
Licenses. And I can't tell you how many people came and talked to me that did the same thing.
Sure.
Because especially if you're able to generate income, a significant amount of income, there is ego involved, you know. And I have a friend who was worth 45 million, and he ended up during the whole housing debauchery.
Yeah.
He got down. He had a 10,000 square foot house in DC Ranch, right, and $150 in his bank account.
Yeah.
A lot
of those guys, you know, they go broke.
Yeah,
because they get highly leveraged. They're trying to turn their, you know, $20 million into $100 million, and instead of putting some of it away, they just like put it all on red or put it all on black.
So it's super smart of you to say that. And I also remember sitting with a couple and saying, okay, a lot of people don't know what they need to make on a monthly basis in order to live. And this kind of goes back to our conversation earlier about residual income. When I asked them to come up with a budget, it took them 4 months to really come up with a conclusive budget. And they needed to make, let's just pull a number out of the sky, like $17,000 a month to be able to continue to live like they were living. And they never realize that. And I told them what their portfolio was going to be earning them in that moment. And it was like, it wasn't $17,000 a month, I can tell you that. So I said, you have one or two things. You can either start downsizing your life and invest more money, and you have to put like $7,000 in a month to be able to continue to live at this percentage of what you're doing, or you can earn more money.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of how I got into consulting. Was I found that I was more passionate about helping people to earn money than I was about helping them after the fact, because I realized that if you don't have any money to put into a portfolio, you're kind of SOL, right?
But imagine, and this is for your listeners, imagine if, you know, let's say your bills are $8,000 a month. Let's say they're $6,000 a month. Your bills, your mortgage payment, your car payment, your insurance, everything else. You know, your living expenses are $6,000 a month. Imagine if you had a residual check that equaled your bills. What would your life be like? What if you had a check that you knew that money was coming back after it was spent this month? Next month, there's another check coming for $6,000 that's going to cover your bills. Who wouldn't want that? And that's real. That exists today. There are actually, believe it or not, in the United States, there are millions of people, millions, that have residual checks like that. And the reason more people don't is because they don't believe it's possible for them. And it is possible if you just like tap back into those dreams that you used to have.
When you're a kid, right? And we talked earlier about, I said, what are the two things you want to talk about? And residual income was one of them. The other thing was about how keeping a commitment to your decision to keep a commitment to yourself as opposed to letting your feelings run your day.
Yeah, our emotions go up and down. People that are successful in business, all of them, they don't make their decisions based on how they're feeling in any given day. And the reason most people don't make it is because on any given day, over a period of time, there's more days that you don't feel like doing your business than you do. And so if you decide to work your business when you're feeling good, you'll never make it. So it's about making decisions based on what you're committed to, not on how you're feeling. So for those of you that have kids, you understand this. Because there's many days you don't feel like being a parent, but you're committed to your kids. So you're a parent, even on the days that you're not feeling like it. And you have to almost treat your business the same way. You've got to treat your business as a long-term commitment, even on the down days, even when things aren't going as well as you maybe expected them to. Those are the people that come out on the other side successful.
You know, it's funny. You and I have talked about this on multiple occasions in our friendship. Relentless Talk Radio has been a really good example of keeping a commitment. Absolutely. Because it's been a shitstorm for me.
Yeah.
It's been a year. I've sold my house, moved twice, rebranded, restructured my revenue stream, you know, and every Tuesday I've shown up for Relentless Talk Radio, and I've interviewed 167 people this year.
That's huge, Michelle.
And what I've been doing is continuing to build my network, because my network is really the most. Lifting people up and building my network is my biggest asset.
Absolutely. Your network is always your most powerful asset. And these shows that you're doing, these interviews that are doing, they're evergreen. They stay on your website forever.
Yep. And I have, I don't know, well over 150 YouTube shows now.
Nice.
And those YouTubes will be going to podcasts. So that's where my residual income will. So my goal is that Relentless Talk Radio covers my nut in the future, as well as the other revenue streams that I have that are residual income. So I really love that you asked me in the beginning, like, do you mind if I talk about residual income? Like it was a dirty word. I'm like, no, 100%. Let's talk about it.
Absolutely.
Because the idea of trading time for money, I really got that this year. Like I really got that this year.
This is a book. Oh, I'm sorry, Michelle, go ahead.
Go ahead. Tell me about the book.
So this book right here, The 4-Year Career by Richard Brooke, is a phenomenal book. If you want to learn about residual income and how it works, and this is a great book. And I think you can get it. There's a website called blissbusiness.com. I'm not sure if you can get it on Amazon. You might be able to, but it's definitely on blissbusiness.com, or you can just Google it, The 4-Year Career. But this will teach you the business of residual income. And I'll
tell you, I've had that on my list to read, and I haven't had a chance to yet, but I definitely will move it up the list because of what you just said.
It's a good one.
But I think it's super important for people to, realize that there's a time limit on this thing. Like you and I have had a lot of, death recently in our lives. My dad is once again in the hospital today. And when I think about my dad and all the time that he wasn't able to spend with us growing up, if you were to ask my dad, actually I have asked my dad, what is the thing that you regret the most? And he said, not spending more time with you and your brother.
Yeah.
Because time passes. And the idea of exchanging time for money is necessary. I mean, we need people to, work in a time-related thing, but there's a certain percentage of people that have to do that. But I also think you can be doing the time for money thing and building residual income at the same time.
Sure. We had a woman come up to me in Chicago at a restaurant that recognized me, and she came over to thank me. She was a professional woman in a business suit. She used to be a corporate executive and rarely saw her kids. She was working, 8 to 12 hours a day at her job in the city and didn't really get much time with her kids because she was working so hard, sometimes 6 days a week. And she she was always very resistant to network marketing, and she heard about my book. A friend of hers gave her my book, and she read it, and she got real excited about it. And she actually became a top earner in her company, and she came over with tears in her eyes to thank me for introducing the idea of residual income to her via my book. And that completely shifted everything for her, because she was now able to be home with her kids every day. She works her business from home using modern technology to do it, and she's able to be with her kids throughout the course of the day, every day, instead of having to report to a corporate job. And she had worked with me. She found something on her own. So I didn't even know the woman, and she's with another company, but she's created a substantial residual income through her network marketing business.
So I was listening to Emily Varva talk.
She's great.
And I emailed you, I texted you, and I said, Emily Varva just quoted you. And Emily Varva is also another network marketing guru who's just very successful. I really dig what she has to say. I've heard her speak several times, and she's fantastic.
She's amazing.
She said she quoted you. She said, I love what Jordon Adler says. She says, I can't teach you how to do it. You just have to do it over and over and over again until you get it.
That's right. That's how they taught me how to hover in the helicopter. The guy, my instructor, said, I can't teach you how to do it. That's in the book that you have, the book that you held up, Better Than Beach Money. Yeah. That story, there's a chapter in there called Hovering. And if you go in there, you look at the last paragraph of that chapter, it's my instructor saying to me, Jordon, I can't, in fact, if you find the chapter that says called Hovering and go to the last page and read the last paragraph.
Isn't that funny? I
can't teach you how to do it. You just have to do it till you get it. Can you find it there?
Yeah, let me take a look. So
and after you've done that, Michelle, I've got to.
We gotta go. We could talk forever, but we have to do that. Well, I can't find we both need to go, and so I'm going to let you go. But I definitely will find it and take a look at it.
Yeah.
But I appreciate your time today. I appreciate you.
I really do. Thank you for the invitation to be part of the show. I know it took us a little bit to get it all together, but here we are, and I'm happy that we were able to make it happen.
Well, I'm super proud of you, the man, but I'm also super proud to call you friend. So thanks so much for taking time out, and have a really fantastic day.
Thank you, Michelle. You too.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, so that's a wrap. Episode 54 is done. I'm super excited to actually take some time and spend some more time with this book, Better Than Beach Money, and the first book, Beach Money. And also, if you haven't had a chance, and you can actually email me if you want a copy of this, I have a couple of it, The Power of Human Connection. If you'd like a copy of this book by Cody Bateman, you can send me a private message and say, hey, Michelle, send me a copy of the book, and I will send you a copy of this book. It is super, it's basically what my entire business is built upon, is creating relationships with people and connecting with people. So if you want a copy of this, just go ahead and PM me, and I will send you a free copy. So that's it. Relentless Talk Radio, episode 54 is a wrap. I'll be back next week with 2 more rock stars, with another compelling topic to think about. Definitely, if you've listened to this interview, comment below and tell me what you thought about. Tell me maybe a comeback story that you have had the opportunity to experience something that knocked you on your ass, and how you got back up and what you learned from it. So thanks a lot, guys. Have a really good day. And this is Relentless Talk Radio signing out. Take care.